I know y'all love a good story, so in today's video, I'm going to share with you some brand new items I have never shared on my YouTube channel before, and I'm going to tell you the story behind them. Because as you all know, if you're keeping up in real time, my husband recently retired. He's been retired about 6 weeks now. So much has changed about our life in such a short time, and you all always tell me in the comments that I'm a good storyteller, and hope you think so, because I have a lot of stories to tell you in this video. So like I said, everything I'm going to share with you today is brand new. I have never shared it on my YouTube channel before, and I hope you all enjoy it. These are things that were purchased out of absolute necessity, according to my husband, and me too. So first off, links to everything will be down in the description box. You can easily click and shop. You all know this by now, and I'll pin those links into the very top comment. You can always go to my Amazon storefront. Everything is listed right there, neat and organized, so you can find exactly what you're looking for. But the very first item that I'm going to kick off this video with is something that my husband has been saying to me for probably 15 years. We need a so-and-so. And for 15 years, I've been saying, no, it is big, it is bulky, I'm not going to drag that thing out, I'm not going to look at it sitting on my countertop. And he just kind of rolls his eyes and shrugs his shoulders and tries again the next year. Well, since he's retired, we are doing a lot more cooking at home. We are trying not to eat out as much because we don't need to be doing that all the time. So my husband has always wanted a vacuum sealer for food. You know, you have extras, you have, things that you've opened, and he wanted to vacuum seal them shut. And I thought vacuum seal devices were really big and had to sit on your countertop, and I did not want to look at that. Well, he came in one day and said, okay, look, I bought this vacuum seal device and we are going to use it. I'm like, what do you mean? It looks like an automatic pepper grinder. Apparently, I've been so out of the loop for so long that vacuum seal devices have become this small. So he ordered a set that comes with 3 different hard canisters in 3 different sizes and 10 kind of, reusable plastic bags, 5 big ones and 5 middle size. Y'all, I am telling you what, I have become obsessed with vacuum sealing stuff. So the other day I had a perfectly ripe avocado. And you know how fast avocados can turn black when they're exposed to air. You cannot keep a cut avocado in the refrigerator. I put it in this vacuum seal bag and it lasted for 3 days. It was still bright green. That was my true test for this little vacuum seal thing. Game changer. So let me show you all what we have vacuum sealed in just the past 2 days. So we bought a bunch of ground beef because we like to make homemade pizzas outside on a pizza oven. And I will pat out the ground beef in proportions that we need for individual pizzas. And of course I had too much ground beef, so the little patties are now vacuum sealed in the freezer, waiting for me when I need them. Last night we had breakfast for dinner and my dad came over and we made way too much food. My dad eats like a bird, honestly. But we had sausage and we had bacon. So when we had all this left over, my husband vacuum sealed it. This is in the freezer. And I'll tell you what, bacon that is already cooked, put it in the freezer, you get this out and it is so crispy. I will put this on a BLT and eat it right out of the freezer. I don't know what it is about bacon, but it doesn't seem to feel cold in my mouth. I can just eat it literally right out of the freezer. Sausage patties already cooked. Pop these on a biscuit. They're ready to go. My husband vacuum sealed our favorite frozen French fries. Look at that, literally airtight. And then so my husband has a hang up about his Cheetos. He loves puffed Cheetos. And he swears if you open a bag of puffed Cheetos that it instantly goes bad. The other day, he got a bag of puffed Cheetos and put them in the vacuum seal bag, and he has been eating on this bag for 4 days now. He will eat the entire bag because they are vacuum sealed. You can use a vacuum sealer if you wanted to marinate beef or pork or even chicken, put it in the marinade and then vacuum seal it and just put it in the fridge. It adds all the flavor. In these canisters, you could do fruit or nuts or honestly anything. My husband has leftover mashed potatoes. airtight sealed in the freezer because he likes to, when we have breakfast for dinner, make potato patties with leftover mashed potatoes. There you go. Perfect example of what he's up to with the vacuum sealer. And something I thought was so cool, these hard canisters have a lid on them where you can set the dial to show the date that you put it in the canister. How cool is that? So like if I open some like marinara or pizza sauce and we don't use it all, I will absolutely put it in this canister and dial the date on here so I know when it was open. This thing is amazing. So this little handheld device is so small. You charge it up, it pops right onto the little seal there on the bag or canister, and you push one button and it sucks the air out in just a couple seconds and stops when it's done. It is that easy. This little thing is so good that we have already ordered a second set to give to my daughter. Game changer, y'all. And because it's so small and convenient, I'm just keeping it right here in the drawer where we keep all of our like glass containers. I just have the bags and the containers that go with the vacuum sealer and the vacuum sealer itself all right here in the drawer. So it's simple to use, easy to get to, doesn't take up any space at all. This was a great purchase. So something super small that I bought, I think it was $6. And I gotta tell you the story before I show you what it is so you'll appreciate this. So years ago, I mean, golly, probably 25 years ago, my mother put a little something in my stocking for Christmas. And when I got it out, I got very offended and got a little upset, and she didn't understand why. So she asked me later that day on Christmas Day, like, why did that upset you? And I didn't say anything. I guess she could just tell by my attitude that I was offended by the Christmas gift. And she said, I don't understand why that upset you so much. And I said, well, you're, I guess, implying that I'm not a very good cook. She's like, what are you talking about? That is not at all what I'm implying with this gift. And then she explained to me why she got me the gift and really what it was for. Totally understood. So for 25 years, I have been using this little device. I'm betting you it got in the trash can somehow and got thrown away because it's really small, and I have missed it ever since. So when I saw it pop up on Amazon just out of the clear blue the other day, I ordered a set of 3. Now I think of my mom every time I use this and I won't run out. So what I'm talking about is a food scraper. These are a little hard silicone food scraper, and I thought my mother was implying that I wasn't a good cook. I burnt my food. And so I needed this to be able to get it off of the pan. And she's like, no, Renee, like everybody gets those bits of something that stick on a pan and you can never get it off. And she had got one for herself and thought it was so good that she got one for me. So really it is just, it's like a little scraper. It's kind of, I wouldn't call it soft-sided, but it's not hard either. And you can just run it down your pan. It doesn't damage your pan or skillet or any of the things, and it just pops off anything that might be stuck on the pan. So even last night, like I said, we had my dad over and we had breakfast for dinner. I had cooked biscuits on this pan, and the biscuits left like just a ring of just a little bit of biscuit on the pan. And I hated to take my dish brush and get biscuit in my brush. And so I just used this to just pop off the biscuit, and it was perfect. So I always keep one of these in my little drawer under the sink where we keep the dish brush. And yeah, I guess mine got thrown out, so I had to get some new ones. So every time I do dishes, which is funny, it just makes me think about my mom when I get out my little pan scraper. Now, I got mine in brown. They do come in like 5 or 6 other colors, and they're a little set of 3 for like $6 or something. But they are very, very useful. So my husband bought something the other day, and of course, this is like a true guy thing. I honestly didn't understand anything about it until I saw it in action. And then he was like, look at this. Look how good this is. I said, whoa, that is super neat. My husband has always got something in the back of the truck. It just seems like always. It can be boxes he's taken to the dump. It can be, I don't know, something that's going to my daughter's house. If you're keeping up in all the videos, I told you that my daughter opened a booth at a vintage market. We were helping her move in furniture. We had to go to another state and pick up some hutch for her. Like, there's just always something in the back of the truck. And my husband used to have these tie downs that were really old and not great. And so he got a new ratchet set. Let me show you this. So a ratchet set is something that you can hook on, you know, one side of the truck and the other side of the truck, or onto something, and it keeps things in place. But what's so cool about this ratchet set, according to my husband, number one, it is camo. Like, we live in Kentucky. We live in the country. Of course, he had to get camo. It does come in like 6 or 7 other solid colors if camo's not your thing. But this one is self-retracting, which is so super cool. Honestly, I've seen this in action. It was amazing. So when it's hooked on something and you're finished using it, a lot of ratchet sets, you're just left with, they're 9 feet long. So you're left with all of this laying all over the place, and it's rattling around your truck, and what are you going to do? This one, you push one button and it retracts back in, and it is this small. So the ratchet sets come in a box. There's 2 or 4 in a box. You can keep them contained, and this is all it is. That. And they're super cool. They are heavy, heavy duty. These have a 3,000 pound brake point. You can use these for anything and everything. In a truck, a camper, an RV, a motorcycle, anytime you're outdoors. If you have a cargo trailer, if you're hauling something, if you're going hunting, I mean, the possibilities are endless. And they have a safety latch on each end. So you hook them on and they're not going to come off. There's a safety latch. So these are super, super cool. My husband's been retired 6 weeks and he has used these ratchet straps, I don't even know how many times, because he points it out to me every single time he does. So I told you all, gosh, a couple months ago that my cordless vacuum bit the dust. Well, turns out I was wrong. The filter in it got clogged up. I didn't even know that there was a filter to take out and clean, honestly. I use the fire out of a cordless vacuum to get underneath furniture, to just get up dog hair. Basically, it's a dog hair thing every day. Little things in the kitchen. I'm just always reaching for a cordless vacuum. So before my husband realized he could clean the filter in our old vacuum, we had already bought a new cordless vacuum. And once he fixed the other, he said, well, why don't you just send this back? And I said, no, heck no. I had been using it upstairs and it is just so easy to use. I whip it out and it vacuums like unbelievably crazy. So it has a one-touch display on here, 3 levels of suction. It does come with this long cord, and it's like a true vacuum on the end. It does have all the attachments. You can do all these things, like a little suction thing. You can clean out your car if you want to and all that. But I mainly keep this big adjustable arm on here, so it's like a full-on vacuum, and I vacuum my workout room because I cannot stand it. It's just something about it. If I'm going to get on the floor and work out, if there's a piece of thread, if there's anything, it's a no-go. I have to get it up. And then I have my dressing room up there, and there's always pieces of thread or lint or something on the floor, so I have to keep it vacuumed upstairs. And this one is truly amazing. So you charge it up, it will run for 70 minutes nonstop, full suction, 70 minutes. It has 3 suction levels and it is very lightweight, so I can carry it around super easy. So I don't know if you all can see this, but on the countertop behind me, can you see? There is now an air fryer. We have only had one air fryer in all of our lives, and it was back when air fryers first came out. They were a thing, and everybody had an air fryer. We got one because our daughters, you know, kids are always eating chicken nuggets and stuff like that, and I'm like, fine, we'll get an air fryer. We used it, I mean, sort of, and it was a very inexpensive one. We ended up throwing it out because it just got all yuck on the inside, and that was that. So my husband's always saying, we need an air fryer, and I say no, because I don't want another device or something sitting on the countertop. And honestly, when am I going to use an air fryer? We have an oven, right? So now that he's home, well, there's 2 stories now that I think about it. Now that he's home and we're heating up leftovers and things for lunch, and we have, like, I made homemade potato wedges the other day and he wanted to heat them up for lunch. It's really hard to get things crispy, putting them back in the oven, and if you do get them crispy, you kind of dry them out. And the other part of the story is my husband has an obsession with Chick-fil-A. Like, I'm not even kidding. He would eat Chick-fil-A 2 and 3 times a week when he was working, because he was always out on the road and that's where he'd go for lunch. So we have a Chick-fil-A here in Paducah, but it's a 20-minute drive from where we live. So once a week, he's like, I gotta have Chick-fil-A. So he drives to Chick-fil-A. He always takes Chick-fil-A to his mom, and then by the time he gets home, it has been like 30 or 40 minutes since he actually got the Chick-fil-A handed to him, and it's always like just kind of cool and soggy. It's never great. So a couple weeks ago, he said, I want an air fryer because when I get home with my Chick-fil-A, I want to put it in there. I want to crisp up my fries and crisp up my chicken nuggets just like I've been at Chick-fil-A. So I said, fine, pick out an air fryer, just do it. But that thing is not sitting on my countertop. It is not going to take up space. It's got to be something that can fit in the pantry in the hall or underneath, like in a Lazy Susan in a corner cabinet. He said, deal. So he orders this air fryer and he chose a Cuisinart, which I thought was very smart of him. And he got a 6-quart air fryer, so not small but not gigantic either, and it has a window in the front so you can see your food without having to open the door and look at it. All of the parts are dishwasher safe, which thank goodness, so you don't have to hand wash it. There are 5 preset things on it: air fry, broil, bake, warm, and roast. And if you've ever used an air fryer, like, things cook so fast. If you set a timer and walk away when that timer goes off, your food is done, right? And sometimes, and a lot of times, food needs to be turned over halfway. So this one has a toss reminder, so you'll never forget to turn it over or be out of the kitchen and be like, oh my gosh, my food is cooked too much because I forgot to turn it over. So we got this air fryer and he has been cooking so many things. We did baked potatoes for dinner the other night in the air fryer. We warmed up those potato wedges yesterday for lunch. Today he went to Chick-fil-A and brought home nuggets, a chicken sandwich, and fries, popped them in the air fryer, 2 minutes, and they were like you got them fresh in the restaurant. So I said to him, okay, I believe you. We're using the air fryer probably 4 or 5 times a week for something, and it can be something so small, but it just makes the food so much better. It's fast, it makes everything crispy, you don't have to fire up your oven. I'm eating crow here because I admit the air fryer was really good. So I told him, let's figure out a place we can keep it on the countertop, because we were putting it in the closet every single time and having to drag it back out. So I concede. The air fryer gets 2 thumbs up from me, and we're going to find a place to leave it on the kitchen countertop. So my husband has been washing his truck and my car, and he's obsessed with all these car washing things, and it's great for me, honestly. But all of the car washing supplies he picked out on Amazon, and he really says they're working well. So when he was looking around trying to decide what car wash to get and, you know, buffer system and all this stuff, he came across this heavy duty water spot remover for glass. You can use it to get water spots off of paint and metal. Well, that's all fine and dandy. He can use it on the cars, but I wanted to use it in our shower. We have these big glass doors in our shower, and it does not matter what I do, I cannot get the water spots and like the buildup that's on the glass off of there. So I tried this on the glass doors. Literally amazing. They look brand new. So this is a gel, and you put it on a wet sponge, rub it in one direction on your glass, and then you don't let it sit long. I mean, I'm talking quick, quick, quick. And then you take another wet sponge and you get it wet, and it neutralizes this, and then you just buff it off, and sparkling clean. So it says on the bottle, easily removes water spot stains and helps restore original appearance, works on paint, glass, and metal. This is no joke. This is like magic in a bottle, and my shower is absolutely spotless. So the last little gadget that my husband bought, this is not something I'm going to be using, but he thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread, so I'm going to tell you about it. So out behind our house, we have a lake, and our view, or portion of our view of the lake, was kind of obstructed with some brush and some overgrown trees and bushes, and I don't know. So I'm looking at it right now. There is constant animal activity at the lake. At this moment, we have 4 wild geese. There's a set of ducks that live at the lake, 1 white duck and 4 or 5 black ducks. There is either a beaver or a muskrat that lives in the lake. We cannot figure out what it is. We look at it through the binoculars, and it doesn't have, like, it has a big thick tail, but it's not round and super flat like a beaver's would be. But a muskrat can be kind of like a mousy looking thing, and the tail is bigger. So we honestly don't know what it is, but it's constantly swimming around in the lake. There are 4 big turtles that come up on the shore every morning and lay in the sunshine. There is a hawk who's decided to, I don't know, live in the trees at the lake. I don't know. We saw him this morning. It's just something, right? There's always something. So he got back there, he cleared away all the brush, so we have a perfect, beautiful view of the lake. In this section where he cleared out all these brush and trees, he planted ground cover. So when we're looking at the lake, we're going to see, instead of seeing like dirt, we bought some ground cover, and I actually forget what they're called. I showed them to you on another video, but it's going to cover and just kind of grow and cover the ground, so we have something pretty for our view of the lake. Well, he went out there the other day, and where he had cleared out all of the brush, like the little vines and weeds, are starting to come back up. You can't spray anything on them because the stuff we planted is right there. It's kind of all mixed in. So he bought a propane torch that is meant for weed killing. It's actually a weed burner kit. So this thing connects onto a propane tank, and it can be a small little handheld tank or a full-on, big duty sits on the ground tank. It comes with a 12-foot hose, so you don't have to carry the tank around, and there's also an extender bar if you want this to be really long. But it has this huge fire nozzle on it, and it starts with one push of this button. So he can go out there and point this at the ground and pinpoint each of those weeds and pieces of brush and just burn them to oblivion just on the spot. So it's not like starting a fire, but it's just burning up those weeds, because he can and just kill the weeds individually. You can also use this to start a big fire if you're going to burn like a big pile of things. This is what he needed when he was burning the brush a couple weeks ago, but a little too late. He got this to do the weeds, but when he starts a fire in our charcoal grill, you can start it with this. So there's lots of uses for this, and he thinks this thing is super cool. And once he gets the weeds under control with that, they shouldn't grow back. So we'll have a really pretty view of the lake. So if you have a guy in your life, I feel like a lot of these things I'm sharing and telling you stories are things guys would love. Of course, I benefit from them too, because he's taking care of the house, right? And I just think they're all pretty fantastic. So since my husband's been retired, there are projects around the house that he is wanting to tackle. And the first thing he's doing is a full garage. I don't know if I would call it a renovation or a makeover. It's just a cleanup, and let's reorganize and do all the things. So he is actually outside at this very moment painting our garage, and I'm filming every bit of this because it is going to be spectacular when it's done. I don't want to tell you what all he's doing because I want the video to be a surprise, but just know it is lots of things. And right now, today, he's painting the garage. So when I get finished talking to you all, I'm going to go out there and get to see the new paint color for the first time. So I'm really excited about that. But there are things he needed to do in the garage. And we have a ladder from a company called Little Giant. I don't know, we've had it for probably 10 years. We use it all the time. It is my favorite ladder. I'm not somebody who likes to get up on a ladder, but I have to do it sometimes. This one, do something about the Little Giant. They're easy to maneuver. They're very sturdy and steady. The steps on them are wide. I don't mind getting on the ladder. Well, there are things that we don't need a full-on ladder for, but we do need like a step stool version, and we really didn't have a step stool. We have one, but it's dinky and it's not great. When I bring it in here to get something out of the cabinet, I always feel like I'm gonna fall off. So he ordered the 4-foot Little Giant. I call it a step stool. He calls it a small ladder. And y'all, this thing rocks. So I was outside in the garage helping him yesterday. We had to clean the walls and get all the gunk off the baseboards and clean the door that goes to the outside so that he could paint today. And I had to get up on the step stool. It was so nice. So the rungs are 13 inches by 13 inches. So you have plenty of room. And then the first little rung that you step on is 3 inches deep. So lots of room for your foot. You don't feel like you're going to slide off. The Little Giant itself is just super, super sturdy. And it comes in a 4 foot, 5 foot, 6 foot, and I believe an 8 foot. And regardless of the size that you get, there is a nice kind of like arched thing at the top, and it has little holes and sections in it. So if you were going to have a screwdriver or a paintbrush or whatever you're doing, you have a place to put all of those things instead of having to hold them or come back down and get them every time you need something. And you can also lean on that. That is one thing I hate about like a cheap little step stool. There's nothing to like lean on it. If I'm up, if I'm elevated, I'm doing something, right? And so the Little Giant on that arched, I don't know what you call that thing, you can actually lean against it, and that's what it's meant to do. And it is super lightweight. I can easily pick this thing up, move it around, bring it into the kitchen if I needed to get something out of the cabinet. The Little Giants can be a little bit pricey, but they are so worth it in the end. So I have a confession to make. So something funny just happened. I went upstairs to film the rest of this video because the next thing that I wanted to show you all is a woman's thing. I didn't need my husband to know about it. He's in the garage coming in and out. And when I got up there, there were a lot of other things I wanted to share with you all. And I realized this video is going to be massive. Like this could be an hour-long video, and that's just too much, right? So I decided I'm going to stop the video now. And then my next video that is released will be a part 2. It will be a continuation of this video with so many more things I want to share with you. And if you are a woman, you cannot miss that video. Item number 1 in video number 2 is a big deal. Like it is a really big deal. It is, I think, one of my favorite things that I have bought in probably the past couple of years. Like it is game changer. So you know I release a new video every Tuesday and Friday, so don't miss the follow-up because you're gonna want to see it. See ya in the next video.